Hey everybody, good morning. Lieutenant Colonel Goose, Donald, Don, Darren, Rex, Rob, Ed, Darren again. Hello, hello, good morning. Dan, Brian, Dan, Dan, Sergio, Amy, Ivan, David, Bob, good to see you. And if you want to chat with me, say hey, good morning, like all these fine people, all you have to do, subscribe over here, click the button, click my little logo over the video in the corner there, be a subscriber on the channel. A few seconds later, you can chat, and Kimberly is here waving in the background, but you can't see her because she's way over there behind the camera. And welcome everybody. And if she said something loud enough, you could probably hear her.
Good morning.
All right. Maybe you heard her, maybe you didn't. Good morning, she says. All right. Sledge, hey, good morning, Cliff, Bob. Good to have everybody. J&J, Mark, Mary. It's funny how similar names all group together in the chat. It happens all the time. So, like, it kind of blows my mind a little bit, but it's funny to me. Just one of those weird coincidences, like the market, you know? Just happen to get lucky every now and then. Anyway, how about Google and AMD? If you were here for 30 minutes of awesome last night, I pretty much nailed both of those. We were looking at them. And we'll pull those up here just momentarily. And the list is long today, so we got a lot to go. We're gonna have to get hustling here. Things popping up everywhere. Critical security update wants to reboot. Awesome. Love this. And here we go. Right here. Look at Google. Now, if you missed it yesterday, right before the end of the video, if you cut out early, right before the end of the video, I was like, hey, Google, like with a pop. Look at that, baby. If you're in my Termite Trading Lab group, the VIP members, lifetime access to all access, you know, I call it Termite Trading Lab. If you're in that group, I posted a trade yesterday afternoon, and that's looking pretty good right there. Pretty good. The trade actually probably gets max profit up here. So, but we're well on the way. There's the resistance zone, that gap down. And if we can get cruising, the target up there. Beautiful. And then AMD. After the close yesterday, I was like, the cons have outweighed the pros on this one. And look at that. We were 166 and down to 152. Imagine that. Imagine that. We'll talk about Microsoft and Meta today before the show's done. And welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Rongenberg, good to see you. Nikki, Frank, Svenborn, all the way from Iceland. Just blows my mind, all the way from Iceland. And you're here like every day. Kimberly says hi. All right. So let's pop back over to the morning list. Morning market movers. And before we get too far into this, all trading involves a substantial risk of loss. Past performance not necessarily indicative of future results. Just because I predicted it in the past and I got something right, got lucky, I may never get lucky again. This presentation is intended to be informational, educational, fun, entertaining, not a recommendation to be buying or selling any financial instrument. And if you desire personal financial advice, hire and consult a financial advisor. And funny enough, the tweet I saw right before I went live was, what the heck, is Kramer getting paid to promote LLY, Eli Lilly? It was just funny to me. And I'm always ragging on Kramer as getting it wrong more than he gets it right. I mean, you know, it's all about time frame. You know, over the long haul, he typically gets stuff right. But in the short term, it seems like all his calls go opposite whatever he says. And I understand that. I mean, it's tough to get out here and make calls and get it right 100% of the time. So many of my trades go against me before they go for me. So eventually, I tend to get it lucky a lot, though. So anyway. If you desire somebody to just tell you what buttons to push, what trade to get into, you're going to have to hire and consult a financial advisor, which is not what I am doing. So please go find that person for you and make sure you trust them if you're going to give them your money or give them, you know, let them control what you're investing in. Today, here we are on Wednesday. That's cool. That's not what I wanted to do. Not even sure how that popped up. All right, Wednesday. We are right here. Is this? Yeah, right there. Pending home sales. We had the advanced JDP, came in at 2.8. Oh, look at that. Right, like I said last night. I think I was saying I thought we might come in at 2.8. The estimation was 3.3, and then they forecast 3.0, and I was seeing that we might come in at 2.8 or maybe even lighter. Came in at 2.8. Well, that's a little bit softer than everybody's expecting. Now, without government spending, even lower. New home or pending home sales coming out here at 10 o'clock. So that'll be in like 40 minutes or so, 38 minutes or so. And then crude oil inventories in about an hour. So those will come out tomorrow. Dun, 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 dun. PCE, Powell's favorite employment or inflation. Employment. I was seeing the employment cost index and unemployment claims right there. So PCE coming out tomorrow. And could be spicy. So we've got lots of big tech earnings. Lots of big tech earnings this week. Get the words in the right order. And in case you missed it, here we go. We've got AMD and Alphabet or Google last night. Snap, Chipotle, Visa. We've got today Eli Lilly, Caterpillar, Humana, Trinity, Biogen, Brinker International, Restaurants, and ADP, Jinko Solar, and Santander this morning. Microsoft, Meta, Coinbase, Robinhood after the close. Tomorrow, Amazon, Apple, Intel after the close. And Friday, before the open, we have Fubo TV, ExxonMobil, Chevron, Wayfair. So this is a pretty big week. And then next week, we roll right into the U.S. elections. If you didn't know that was going on, welcome to the show. You probably have today and tomorrow to early vote. And then you're going to have to wait till Tuesday and stand in the line, which is probably my case. Because I'm probably going to go do a trunk or treat tonight, and then there's no way I'm going to get out there tomorrow and get in there before they close early. So, bummer sandwich. Anyway, all right, moving on. Pull this back over, jump back over here, and like I said, we've got a heck of a list to talk about today, and let's start here. Jump down, time frame. Look at this. Check this out. We are still in the range. I find it a little bit funny. There's the resistance, there's the support, and sideways was the direction. I said we might just keep going, and there is what we're doing. Even though we've had Google popping overnight, we're still in the sideways chop. Awesome. NASDAQ went for the breakouts, back to the roadmap line. We'll see if this holds, and this did get above. So this has set the bias for up if we can bounce off the roadmap line. And if you have no idea what the roadmap line is, links in the description. For $5 you can get it, or you can click on my channel logo and go watch the video that pops up on the homepage. That one tells you all about it, how it works, what it is, how you can put it on your chart, DIY. And if you just want to click a button and put it on there, links in the description. $5. All right, so upside for NQ on the next potential move. If we bounce here, get back above that 27 level, 28, maybe 28, 20,800, 20,823, maybe even 20,870. Looks like we're in a grind. That's what that looks like right now. Why am I on the small time frame? Because the big time frame just looks like sideways chop. We're not really going anywhere. We haven't made any significant progress here. Just small little, that was a 1, 2, 3 into that prior support, and now we're extending out. Highly likely we're going to get the extension up into this target zone. That target zone lines up with this high, this low, and that 21,400, 21,500 area that I've been talking about for days and days and days and days. All right, Russell still stuck in this zone and probably going to go. We've held the 618 so far. I wanted to see it test it, but we may just roll on down to the roadmap line. And if we break down below it, that could result in a bigger downside move that can snowball into something way down here. So caution on that one. Caution. We may snowball it down. Oil here getting a nice bounce as we come into the crude oil inventories, but we've kind of set the stage. We broke the head and shoulders neckline. A flush out might be in store, and we could do that in one day. One move can go down there and hit that target and be right back up here by next Tuesday. Caution. Careful. Don't bet against it. All right. I did lighten up my position just in case we get a dip. I'll probably add it back. I booked a little bit of profit. Gold, look at this run. Holy bananas. And 2,900. Looks very real for, somewhere in that 2870 to all the way up to almost 3,000, maybe 2,950. Somewhere in that zone, I expect us to potentially top out. If we just echo the prior move from 2018, we may stall out at like 2,930 and take a rest, like a multi-month rest, while silver has the opportunity to catch up because we are not even breaking above the 618 yet. Go look at this. If you haven't seen it, look at this. And silver tends to make these giant spikes, right? It looks like the bubble pattern. Yeah, it does. Look, bubble pattern, consolidation, drop back. Bubble pattern, shoot up, consolidation, drop back. Winding up. Can we get the pitch? Possibly spike it all the way up in here, maybe even $100 an ounce on silver. That next move. And this one just nominally higher. So this one maybe just be nominally higher. Maybe the 1272, maybe the 1618. And we'll see. But there is opportunity for this one to do that same kind of spike. Did it back here in the 80s on the back of inflation. We did it right here, 2010. And we potentially are going to do it again right here. Potentially. Now, it could fail. Could be one of these where we come up shorter and we just pop up and go back down. Entirely possible. I have no crystal ball on that. Bitcoin made it all the way to a new all-time high on the daily chart here. Look at that. New all-time high. On the futures, just barely. Like that high was 74,365. This high, 74,485. So we did it by $120 on the futures. Not bad. Now, it just barely scratched the target bubble. Think there's some kind of magic this? Look at that. I drew that bubble. We tagged it right there. Sometimes I get lucky. And what does this mean, though? We may, as I discussed before, after this initial pop, we may come back, retest here before we can get the bigger move up. All right. Be careful. Ethereum going for, look at this. Even though Bitcoin's pulling back a little bit, easing up, catching up, baby. We need to get above this roadmap line and then go cruising on up 3,000, possibly even up here. It's been my target for a little while. And if we can get above that 34 area, 34, 35 area right in there, we could set the stage to get these bigger targets, 59.73 up here. It's got a lot of work to do to get there, but it's looking pretty darn good here. Pretty darn good. And good morning, everybody popping in the room. Looks like 151 of my closest friends here on the stream. Good number. All right. Dollar in the resistance zone. Just keeps consolidating. I don't know. The longer it hangs here without making any further progress to the upside, we may come right back down, retest this level here. And if we break below that, coming back down here, retest this one, and then possibly going down for my targets in the mid-90s that I've been talking about for like 2 years now. All right, market looks like it just opened. And Japanese futures potentially trying to break out. We get back above that prior high at 40,000. Probably setting the stage to rally on up to 44,000, and that'll probably take the U.S. markets with it. This kind of represents global liquidity, and if we do this, U.S. markets are probably going with it. And I still haven't removed Tesla off the list here from last week. We tagged the target. Probably going to do a retrace. Some levels of support right here, the 618 where we gapped up to, and down here at the roadmap line. So if we test that and hold, we're probably going up for higher targets. And if we break down below that level, probably coming down here to the roadmap line around 220. That's what we got. Now, can it hold this zone right here? Yeah, sure. I mean, it's entirely possible that we're just retesting this prior consolidation that we did twice over here. See this zone? It's been important. Right there. Could just be churning that, and then we pop again. Looks like somewhere right around 300, maybe the next upside. And we may have some resistance at 280, but 300 may be the place we can get to right there. And there's a 1 minute triple threat on Tesla right there. All right. Like I said, the list was long and we've got lots to cover, but let's go ahead and hit Microsoft, MSFT, since they've got earnings after the close. And the pros outweigh the cons for me right now. The potential for this to go up is greater than breaking down at the moment. I'm not going to go through every little piece. I watch this every day. Right now, we have the uptrend of lows. We're sitting at resistance and upside potential right there. And if you stick around to the end, maybe there's a bonus trade on Microsoft. All right, Meta. This one, unfortunately, looks like the cons outweigh the pros. We are at targets. We're extended. We're up here. And downside looks like where that one may go. Now, does it have to? No. Probably not going to play it either. So be careful on that one. It may result in a retrace right there. So let's just start cranking through some of these. Oh, look at that. Bounced right off the roadmap line into the target. Boom. So if they're doing this kind of pattern as they come into earnings right here, if they do a 3-wave down and then they're holding support really well, that kind of indicates that we may get a giant move up right there to some targets. That's what we're seeing happen on this baby right there. Exactly the same kind of thing. So we may get that continuation up on Google. We topped out 1, 2, 3 down into a low, consolidating on the roadmap line as we come into earnings. Now, it doesn't have to work this way. All right. It's like 70-30. 70% of the time we'll pop, 30% of the time we'll drop. So that's one of those that it's not a universal, like, hey, JT said every time this happens. It's just probabilities. All right. That's the whole thing I'm doing is probabilities. Reddit, look at that explosion higher. Beat on earnings, beat on the top, beat on the bottom. Reported a profit when they estimated a loss. So not bad for Reddit. And yeah, they lost money before. So first earnings are reporting a profit. Good on Reddit. Getting their costs and everything under control. Nice. All right. FNGU. Maybe they're making some money off of selling their data set to some of these big companies. And if we can fill that gap, 604, and this is starting to look more and more likely like we're going to do this, and it could take a little while to get up there. Like we could be out here Q1 before we get up there. Meta, like I said, looks kind of iffy to me. Like we could explode higher, but we're extended. All right, we've already, excuse my locals out there with no muffler, we're already grinding targets. Now it could go higher, could entirely possibly go higher. 670, even 700 up here this could be the target area if we're going to pop on earnings. But this could be a very real target also on earnings, dropping right there if it disappoints, if it hiccups at all. So there you go. Google, we've already talked about. I want to see that one continue. Why do I use GOGL and not GOG? This is Class C shares. These are Class A shares. They don't, while they look very similar, they don't move exactly the same. And GOGL produces higher probability trades through all my testing and systems. GOG, the Class C shares, tends to fail more often than GOGL, the Class A shares. Just throwing that out there. All right. Shake Shack. Look at that pop. Right up into targets. Beautiful. Nothing left for me. Now, if you rode Shake Shack up here, protect your profits. Possibly up to 132. Don't let it get away. XPO. And cruising on up to target. So yeah, look at that. We had that target for weeks now. 135 would be where I expect that one to go. And Microsoft, like I said earlier, kind of giving this pros, but it could disappoint. We'll see. I mean, there's always the chance You know, 70, 30, 70 pop, 30 drop. NBIX, this is biotech, which is one of my, you know, even though it says pharmaceuticals over here, biosciences means biotech. And that's down, that's pop, that's the roadmap. If we break down below the 618 level, probably going lower low over here. And missed on the top, beat on the bottom, announcing something that at least got the market a little bit spicy. For pop, retesting the roadmap line. So there's the 618 right there, that prior consolidation, and downside targets like 106, 108. I am going fast today because the list is freaking huge, as you can see over here. So trying to keep it going. And I pulled all the gainers. That's things that were $2 or more up pre-market, put it on the gainers list. All the things $2 or more down in the pre-market, it's on the decliners list. And at the very end, we'll have a bonus trade. So hang out till the end. And BRMC, this is back to biotech. I don't like biotech. Just anything the Food and Drug Administration of the United States gets involved in tends to sometimes not follow the patterns. And it's often enough that I don't like to trade it. So doesn't mean this won't work, but it's just not the stuff I'm looking for. We break back about that. Potential to go up to 126. Visa finally hitting the target. Look at that. That's been a long time in the making right there. 296.30, the target. That fired off that entry right here. We came up, found resistance, retraced on the FTC, whatever, you know, antitrust, blah, blah, blah. Came up again, retraced, gave you yet another potential entry. And, you know, you could have entered anywhere in here. And then boom, right up to the target. Protect your profits. Be careful right there. If you're waiting for that exact number, be careful. All right, don't let it slip away. And we may still actually fully tag that number. 301.13 is the real target, but it doesn't have to get there. Why the 1448 right there? So that is 90% of the way to the target. The target was the 1272. Being conservative, 90% of the way there. And some of my traders go even more conservative. That's okay. But typically, I say these fib zones are fuzzy zones. Like everybody can program them. All algorithms can put them in there. And some algorithms try to push it past those fib levels, and some algorithms try to come up short of the fib level. So to be conservative, when you're going for a long trade, you go below the fib level. I mean, it's just kind of how I do it. And like, what's a good number for how conservative to be? How about 10% lower? 90% of the way there. And that's where the 1448 comes from. It's not a fib number. It's just 90% of the 1272. And through a bunch of statistics, I found that it improved the odds of these trades working out. So that's why that target. All right. That's where that number comes from. It's not any kind of fib number. You're not going to see it on any fib tool that you just load up. It's a number that my proprietary number, I guess you might say. So it's 90% of the way the 1272, which is the actual target right there. Alrighty. Yeah, this one, 73% likely. This one drops down to 70% likely, roughly. Maybe it's 70. It depends on which ticker we're looking at, but 75, 73, 73, 70, 70, something like that. A rough ratio between the two. It just gives it edges the probability up just a slight bit and gives it a good spot to get out. All right, Brinker International, popping right there. Beating on the top, beating on the bottom. If you ever hear somebody say that, that means beating on earnings, beating on revenue, top number, bottom number right there. Looks like the sky's the limit. We may find significant resistance between this 100, 110 area and pullback. Getting extended. And 2x bull on Google. Nice. There's the high, there's the low, sitting at resistance. If we can break through it, 55 on the upside. And another thing, I said that biotechs don't always follow the pattern. Leverage also doesn't always follow the pattern. The way they leverage and creates a skew in the charts, and sometimes it doesn't hit the support and resistance properly. So while I try to use this stuff to indicate where we're going, it doesn't always work. So be careful using my principles on a leveraged chart. It's much easier just to go to the Google chart and set your alerts there, and then use GGLL to take advantage of that move. LEU is sitting at resistance. Watch out for a retrace. This could be quite deep or kind of deep. Amazon, like I said a minute ago when I hit this early. Actually, I guess I didn't talk about this one yet. So Amazon and Apple coming up on Thursday. Amazon, odds are we're going to pop. 208 is the target. Could fail. It's always a possibility. And while we're at it, let's just hit Apple. And odds are we're going to get that little extension there. We've already, we've had the entry from all the way back here. Grinding. 243 is the target up there. ASPI. Wow. Talk about a nice one. 622. So another, we've talked about two things that don't always follow the pattern. The third one, low price stuff. And this is equities under 10 bucks. Oh, it got all the way. There it is. All the way up past the target right there. 8 bucks. I wasn't even paying attention. It's so high up there. And that's right to the target. So low price stuff may not follow the targets, may not follow the patterns, but this is starting to look exponential. We may get a little chop and then a drop back. So be careful on that one. Wouldn't chase it. ABBV at the targets. This could be a secondary bounce and we get even higher, possibly 219, 220 area. But it also could make another leg down. So be careful here. It's interesting. Range breakout. All right. So we've got this move, 618 resistance. So this very well could find resistance at that 618 right there and turn down and hit the roadmap line because that's where the target is right there. Funny enough, the proportions of that thing, we put it right there at the roadmap line. Funny enough. Pro and the roadmap line is not anything too crazy. It's a fib-based EMA, and then can't remember what the other system is. So it's a fib-based EMA and then another EMA that's adjacent to it. I think it's least squares. So I use those two EMAs to draw the roadmap line. Really, it's the 144 is the one that's important to me. That's the fib line. I have the fib-based number right there. And this may break down, get below the 618, and go cruising down to 15 here on Pro, despite the pop-up today. NRDS, Nerd Wallet. Gosh, that's a nasty looking. Remember what I always say about if you're new here, this high, this low, we skip a move. And so if we're going up, see how this overlapped right there, this pullback, well overlapping, and this drop over here just looks really nasty. I mean, it's just sideways chop, and you go back over here, hadn't really gone anywhere in a couple years. Don't really expect further. That's a dumpster fire chart. Reverse split, going towards zero, popping up, and probably going to keep going down. Tech is just chopping sideways. Boot barn. Back to the roadmap line. Imagine that. Wow. So we've got the high, we've got the low. If we hold here, break back above the gap down, we could extend it out 175, 185. We've got a lot of work to do. I would be sitting on the sideline waiting. PSN, that has a outsized opportunity to come back to the roadmap line here. Be careful on that one. BIIB, it's a piece of garbage. Biotech, be careful. That can keep going down. And wow, damn. This is volatile. Like I've seen people lose a lot of money. Why do I say it's a piece of garbage? Look, I mean, look at these moves, these rips and dips. I've watched people lose money, and it's so dangerous. Be careful if you get involved in that. EXTR, and interesting. So this looks like a completed bubble pattern. We went up, came back down, Consolidated right in the mix here. And running the fibs, that high, that low. Break back above this 618, all the way up here at 24. Pushes up to 35, 38. And we're at 16 now. You could buy with faith, but know where you're wrong, because you could take a like 50% haircut and stop out. So be careful on that one. App keeps extending through the fib ladder. 189 next upside, possibly 268. But then we're going exponential on the move. If you've never seen this, when we go exponential on the move, we tend to pull back, consolidate, and pull back big and come all the way back down. That's the bubble pattern right there. So be careful. It's starting to look like that. We kind of did it over here. Went down even lower. Doing it again. Could come back down. Cold. Natural gas was on the poppers list. Probably pulling back a little bit. NG1 exclamation points. Just a little bit of churn here before we break out potential. 360 and $4 are the target for natural gas, which would push cold, which is an ultra short, leveraged short on natural gas. That would push this down. So be careful. SW and Smurfit West Rock. I think they make packaging, right? Yeah, packaging. And just kind of churning sideways here. Opportunity for this to pop based on this prior. This initial setup here was a measured bounce, and we kind of corrected it again. Potential for this to pop on up in here, maybe 57 if we get really sparky. And then we kick off the move to 57. Yeah, 57. That's the target, 57. Right there. That's probably where we're going eventually on Smurfit West Rock. All right, decliners, Eli Lilly. Oh, glad I liquidated my... I did not like the way this was just churning here. I actually liquidated off my shares, so I'm kind of glad I did that. Now we're pulling back. Down here's the target. Now it could hold a higher low and go again for the upside, but just looking not as likely to do that. Wingstop, breaking down, resistant, missed the target, and breaking down. Let's see, downside targets, potential. And we're hunting a bottom, maybe 287. If we start getting below that, though, we could come all the way back down to this kind of level down in here. ASML. Imagine that. Still consolidating. I thought we might go on down to the bottom of the box here. Somewhere around 600. Look for that to happen. I've got my alert right there at 650. Right there. Looking for further downside on ASML. QRVO. It's like Cuervo, but QRV. Cuervo. I don't know. Whatever. Wow. Long history of beating earnings. And... beat on top, beat on the bottom. Must have said something disappointing because it's lower low. Imagine that. That looked choppy overlapping, like I was talking about a minute ago. When you've got these highs, skip a pair, these lows, when you get the overlap, then you go on the next one, you look at this high and this low, skip a pair, and we got overlap. That's all choppy and corrective type price action. So the trend was down, corrective, trend is down. And how low might we go? Ooh, that looks bad. Maybe 50. Maybe we're just going on the log scale and we go down to 50 right here. So that would kind of be the expectation right in there on Cuervo. Not the tequila. CDW. Dun, 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 dun. And potential for that to find a bottom here. That was some choppy action right there. Not sure which one is the right one. Could be that one, or it could be this one. So somewhere in the 180, 190 area. Look for this to bottom out. TT. Probably coming back to the roadmap line, right in here somewhere. AMD, target's down here. It's taking the long road to get there. Still expect it to come down to this zone down here, find a low. Between 85 and 105 area would be the ideal place for this to find supports, build a base, and then we can go higher to new all-time highs again. CAT is probably going to retrace to the roadmap line. KLAC probably going to make it down here. MSTR pulling back on Bitcoin softness. It's trading like leveraged Bitcoin, but upside target still up here around 1,000 for how we get there. I'm not saying we're going directly from here to 1,000. It may look something like this along the way. So you got to be able to ride these dips, all right? If you're going to go for the big $1,000 target. ANAB, that's a biotech. Nasty. This is what I'm talking about. Like these giant gaps. They just do crazy moves sometimes. And that was probably slightly predictable because this is a bunch of overlapping crap right there in price action. FSLR going for the target down here. NXPI. Wow, choppy sideways action, lots of resistance right up in here, and let's just clear it off. This high, this low, resistance right here. And we may see further downside right in here. Watch for that to hold. If we do break above it though, that would be the target right up there, 308 area. SWKS, Skyworks, back down to the lows. This really looks like it wants to extend down and hit a lower target. Had this on there for a long time. Let's put one that actually has the extra fibs on it. Yeah, somewhere down here in the 67 to 70 area, right down in there. It's like where we might drop out to. MSTU, leveraged MicroStrategy, 2x leverage moving down. SOXX, semiconductor ETF, has been finding a lot of resistance going higher. If it can bust up through 280, but it's just consolidating, and this looks like we're just gonna go keep doing the sideways churn, just more sideways churn. Just looks like that's what we're going. Drug, that was an epic pop, consolidate here a little bit, bum everybody out, and then flush back down. Lily X, wow, that got smacked in the face right there. 2x leverage on Lily. QCOM, just consolidating right here. The longer this consolidates, the more it looks like it's going to dip before it rips. This reminds me a lot of Bud, back when all the news came out against their advertising, and they kind of made a bottom, and then they pulled up a little bit, then we made a slightly lower low, and then we started taking off. And you haven't heard about Bud all that much in the news, but it's been trying to break on higher. Back over here, we made that low, we pulled up, we chopped right at the roadmap line, and then we went down for a lower low. And then we started popping, and now we're trying to break out. So QCOM could be working on this for a long time. We may see this do one more little dip right there before we can pop. The upside target, based on the pattern we have intact, would be somewhere up here around 300, but could be a little while before we can actually do that. We do have earnings coming up right here on Wednesday, next Wednesday, after the election. Coin, and what happens on Thursday after the election? FOMC rate change. So big sparky week between this week with big tech and next week with the election and the FOMC, which may be more important for us than the election. I don't think it matters who wins. Coin sitting there at the resistance may get a retrace right here. This move up. I should have just moved the one ahead. This may come back in, could possibly come back and retest this area right here. Could see this happen. All right. And wow, a lot of stuff firing off. 9:55, making pretty good time. We got quite a few left though. Cirrus Logic sitting at the roadmap line, hunting for supports, and that looks like it may dip on down lower to 100 area. Back in here. May dip down like that before we can find supports. PALL. Getting smacked a little bit, but upside target right there. And you should really look at the PA1 exclamation. You should really look at the futures chart if you're going to trade palladium or any other commodity. You should go to the futures chart. Gives you a more complete picture. That would be the upside on palladium. SMH. Now, if it fails, that's a bummer. Probably going to make a lower low. SMH sitting in this resistance. If we can pop it to 96, not convinced with all the uncertainty and all these semiconductor charts that we keep looking at. The only one that definitely has some upside to it is NVIDIA, which one of the largest holdings in most of those. This one highly likely to get on up to 149, possibly 158 up there. Maybe 148, 154. Not sure which chart, but then eventually this is going to pull back. So Amgen down at the roadmap line. If we can hold that higher low, break back above this, looks like 352 on the upside. MSTX leverage and 1.75 leverage on MicroStrategy. And pulling back a little bit. AMAT. Target down here. Sideways is what I kind of expect. If we can break above the resistance here, we can get some upside, possibly to 270. But it's just chopping sideways right now. Day. I wonder if that's the right day. Day. It's going to be day force right here. It's going to be the chart. This was dropping. Now it's popping. And interesting chart. Long-term potential for this going up to 87, 103 area. Right up in here. Oh yeah, if we do that, we might even tip the odds to go up to 150. Pretty good. Humana. Still nasty. There's the resistance up here at the roadmap line when it comes on down, and may break and go lower. USD, Ultra, Leverage, Semiconductor ETF. Same consolidation we see on SMH and SOXX. This may break and go down lower. ARM, holding the resistance really well and may drop out. NVO. Man, right to the target. I don't know. Sometimes I get lucky on these. If anybody took that short, congratulations. Hopefully you made money. Hopefully you didn't run out of time. Wow. Possibly 104, possibly 100 on the next. This area right here could be the next downside. If we extend it, this may rally up to the roadmap line before we do that next extension. So entirely possible we rally back to the roadmap line. And turn down there. Or we could just break down and go straight here. That's the two potential paths I see right there. So, question mark right there. Do we hold it and bounce, or do we just fold it and drop? Next to the left, firing off. THRY. Making a lower low. Must be 10 o'clock. SAP. Let's get the US version, not the German version. And watch for the retrace. Right there. Watch for the retrace. FLUT. Just chopping at targets. Watch for the retrace. That can go deeper. FUTU. Watch for the retrace. That can go deeper. VKTX. That's sitting at resistance and may drop. Be careful. SOXL, leveraged semiconductors sitting under the roadmap line. This is another reason why I'm leery on all those semiconductor ETFs. This one in a leveraged fashion, reading the tea leaves, the extra information here may drop further down to this $10 to $14 area. TXN really struggling to break through. 217, 220 on the upside, but if we break down, could go lower low. DJTWW. Oh man, look at that. We spiked. Holy. When did it do that? So we opened yesterday, hit the target, retraced, and then popped back up. I don't even believe that. That's crazy. Oh, there you go. Let's set up the next trade. All in one candle. Next potential up to 52, possibly 59. Craziness. AMDL, 2x leverage on AMD. Likely that's going down. DJT. This, I've been saying, looks like we need a retrace. If we do that, hold, we can set up the next potential upside. We need that low in place to figure it out. Hadn't really been a trade there. I know lots of people are like, well, you could have just bought on the dip and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But if the challenger does not win next week, this is going lower low. That's always the possibility too. So be careful. But, you know, you got to be super careful because the betting market pretty much thinking it's a lock. It's that's like 70-30 almost. Never seen this before. Polymarket.com. You go bet on all sorts of stuff right there. And CRH. It's at targets. Watch for the retrace. Flex. At targets. Watch for the retrace. TSM. At targets. Watch for the retrace. XLV. Working on the retrace. Where is the bottom? That's a good question. Let's just clear this up. Choppy overlapping does not present a good place for this to bounce to. Let's see. So here's the resistance right in here. Right there. If we hold that and turn down. So healthcare, just reading the tea leaves on this, looks like we may see longer, prolonged struggle on healthcare for now. PDD could be indicative of what happens after the election. And that one's set to rally up here, even though we're chopping around retracing. Yen, and China announced $10 trillion more in stimulus yesterday, but $10 trillion in won, so like $1 trillion in US. Still looks like we were coming down here though. There. Obviously the market not very impressed by 10 trillion won. NTS consolidating at the lows, may go lower, 72 down here, and we're finally at the bottom of the list. So bonus trade for today. You're going to get a kick out of this one right here. Let me pull this up and show you. You're going to get a kick out of this. It's big surprise. It's a ticker we've already covered. That's why it's not down here. And let me copy this and kick it over here and paste it in here. Microsoft, look at this. Isn't this great? So Microsoft new potential entry 44673 is the target right up here. Target stop below 407.17, which is $1 below the low right there. We activated the entry right there. Potential target up there. 33 trades since 1986. So this is pretty statistically significant with 75, almost 76% win rates and a profit factor of 2. I might buy a call debit spread into their earnings because this looks pretty dang likely to work out. Now, typically lasts 35 trading days on average. Can go faster than the average, can go slower than the average. Trading days, that's important. Let's pop back over and talk about it right here. Make sure you give me a thumbs up or a like if you like this trade. And remember, this is not the 481 target. All right, this is a smaller move that we've set up right here. It's this high right here, this low right here, and that 446 target in there. So remember, it is not the giant upside target. This is a little lower target in here that we may be playing for. It's about a $14 move, but now we were popping today, so we're part of the way there. Look for that move up in there. I missed the top right there slightly. Yeah, 446. Basically 75, 80 right in there. That tips the odds we're going to go get the continuation on up. But that's the target right there. So be careful where you put your long trade if you're going to play for earnings tonight. This looks set to pop. Looks pretty spicy. Looks pretty good. Like I said, there's the trade. That potential. I like it. I like it a lot. Now, 35 days. That with earnings tonight, this may happen very fast. We may be up there tomorrow. But just to circle back on 35 days, what that looks like, that's all the way out to, it's 50 calendar days. Because the candle maker is not open on the weekend, so we don't get candles on the weekend. And that puts us out late December as a potential for that target there. But looks like we may rally on higher, though, to get this target up here. So it could go 480. That high probability target, though, is right there at 446.70. All right. Let me know if you take it. Let me know if you make money. Hopefully, we're all celebrating tomorrow when we crush it on Microsoft. And be careful out there. The account you save may be your own. Remember, it's not staying wrong that costs you the money. Well, it is staying wrong. It's doubling down. It's not being wrong. It's staying wrong. And my bias for the day. For those of you still here, my 100 closest friends that are still left on the stream, still bias long. In queue, potentially bouncing off of that 15 minutes. Well, looks a little deeper now. Maybe 30-minute roadmap line. Potential. Get back above the 20,700 area on NQ. Push it on up with Microsoft and Meta and Apple and Amazon and coming up. We may see this rock and roll onto these higher targets here. All right. Still looking up. Although, remember, ES over here. There's the parameters. We break down. Watch out below. We break up. Head cruising up. All right. Keep in mind the parameters. That's the choppy zone right now. We can't break out. More of this is what I expect. I'm looking up, but if we break down, that's where I know I'm wrong, and watch out for the deeper correction. All right. Like I said, it's not being wrong that costs you money. It's staying wrong. Like, don't stay wrong in the face of information that we're going lower. There, I said it right. All right. Have a great day, everybody. I'll see you again tomorrow for another edition of The Morning Monster. Same bat time, same bat channel, 9:15. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you give me a thumbs up and put it in your reminder.